Good Friday. This is a time set apart to reflect on what happened with Jesus' death and burial, to let it sink deep and change us, as we will be hearing Luke's account of Jesus' betrayal, arrest, crucifixion, and burial. Music will help us remember. Time will be given to listen and to talk to God. Videos will help us imagine. At one point, there will be an opportunity to take bread and juice, commemorating Jesus' broken body and shed blood. So you may want to get those elements now if you don't have them already. Take a moment now to pray. God, open me up to see what you want me to see and feel what you want me to feel. Amen.
Gather round, hear the sound of a story that's so old that it's been told before time. He was born in the flesh, in the blood, in a world that was dark as hell and dead in sin. Born of the Spirit and the Virgin child, he's the Son of God, Son of Man. I didn't recognize that look in his eyes when they cried with a sorrow that no man has ever known. Watch him die, hear the cry, crucified upon their God-forsaken tree. And all who have breath can sing. When we laid your body your bones. Will the hope be made good if your words are understood? In the day will we see you again? Oh my God, my God, why have you forsaken me? Oh Eloi, Eloi,
Now the feast of the unleavened bread, called the Passover, was approaching, and the chief priests and the teachers of the law were looking for some way to get rid of Jesus, for they were afraid of the people. Then Satan entered Judas, called Iscariot, one of the 12. And Judas went to the chief priests and the officers of the temple guard and discussed with them how he might betray Jesus. They were delighted and agreed to give him money. He consented and watched for an opportunity to hand Jesus over to them when no crowd was present. Then came the day of unleavened bread on which the Passover lamb had to be sacrificed. Jesus sent Peter and John, saying, "Go and make preparations for us to eat the Passover." "Where do you want us to prepare for it?" they asked. He replied, "As you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters, and say to the owner of the house, 'The teacher asks, where is the guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' He will show you a large room upstairs, all furnished. Make preparations there." They left and found things just as Jesus had told them. So they prepared the Passover. When the hour came, Jesus and his apostles reclined at the table, and he said to them, "I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I will not eat it again until it finds fulfillment in the kingdom of God." After taking the cup, he gave thanks and said, "Take this and divide it among you. This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you. For I tell you, I will not drink again from the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God comes." And he took bread, gave thanks and broke it, and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body given for you. Do this in remembrance of me."
Let's pause here for a moment and join Jesus and his disciples in sharing this moment with them. Feel free now to take your bread and your juice and remember what Jesus did for us.
But the hand of him who is going to betray me is with mine on the table. The Son of Man will go as it has been decreed, but woe to that man who betrays him." They began to question among themselves which of them it might be who would do this. A dispute also arose among them as to which of them was considered to be greatest. Jesus said to them, "The kings of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who exercise authority over them call themselves benefactors. But you are not to be like that. Instead, the greatest among you should be like the youngest, and the one who rules like the one who serves. For who is greater, the one who is at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one who is at the table? But I am among you as one who serves. You are those who have stood by me in my trials, and I confer on you a kingdom, just as my Father conferred one on me, so that you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and sit on thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift all of you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers." But he replied, "Lord, I'm ready to go with you to prison and to death." Jesus answered, "I tell you, Peter, before the cock crows today, you will deny 3 times that you know me." Then Jesus asked them, "When I sent you without purse, bag, or sandals, did you lack anything?" "Nothing," they answered. He said to them, "But now, if you have a purse, take it, and also a bag. And if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. It is written, 'And he was numbered with the transgressors.' And I tell you that this must be fulfilled in me. Yes, what is written about me is reaching its fulfillment." The disciples said, "See, Lord, here are 2 swords." "That's enough," he replied. Jesus went out as usual to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples followed him. On reaching the place, he said to them, "Pray that you will not fall into temptation." He withdrew about a stone's throw beyond them, knelt down and prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." An angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him, and being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. When he rose from prayer and went back to the disciples, he found them asleep, exhausted from sorrow. "Why are you sleeping?" he asked them. "Get up and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation." While he was still speaking, a crowd came up, and the man who was called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He approached Jesus to kiss him, but Jesus asked him, "Judas, are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss?" When Jesus' followers saw what was going to happen, they said, "Lord, should we strike with our swords?" And one of them struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his right ear. But Jesus answered, "No more of this." And he touched the man's ear and healed him. Then Jesus said to the chief priests, the officers of the temple guard, and the elders who had come for him, "Am I leading a rebellion, that you have come with swords and clubs? Every day I was with you in the temple courts, and you did not lay a hand on me. But this is your hour, when darkness reigns." Then, seizing him, they led him away and took him into the house of the high priest. Peter followed at a distance. And when some there had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and had sat down together, Peter sat down with them. A servant girl saw him seated there in the firelight. She looked closely at him and said, "This man was with him." But he denied it. "Woman, I don't know him," he said. A little later, someone else saw him and said, "You also are one of them." "Man, I am not," Peter replied. About an hour later, another asserted, "Certainly this fellow was with him, for he is a Galilean." Peter replied, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about." Just as he was speaking, the cock crowed. The Lord turned and looked straight at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word the Lord had spoken to him. "Before the cock crows today, you will disown me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly.
There's a constant thread keeps pulling me along, and it's never broken yet. No matter how it's stretched, awaken my soul to the beat of your heart, to the beat of your heart. Keep pulling me close to where you are, to where you are. Oh, I've pushed and I've pulled, and I confess that I've let go. But you never let go. Won't let go. Awaken my soul to the beat of your heart, to the beat of your heart. Keep pulling me close to where you are, to where you are. Awaken my soul to the beat of your heart, to the beat of your heart. Keep pulling me close to where you are, to where you are. Awaken my soul to the beat of your heart. Pulling me close to where you are. Awaken my soul to the beat of your heart. Pulling me close to where you There's a constant thread. Oh, it keeps pulling me along, and it'll never break. Oh, it'll never break. It's your love, it's your love, it's your love.
The men who were guarding Jesus began mocking and beating him. They blindfolded him and demanded, "Prophesy, who hit you?" And they said many other insulting things to him. At daybreak, the council of the elders of the people, both the chief priests and the teachers of the law, met together, and Jesus was led before them. "If you are the Messiah," they said, "tell us." Jesus answered, "If I tell you, you will not believe me. And if I asked you, you would not answer. But from now on, the Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of the mighty God." They all asked, "Are you then the Son of God?" He replied, "You say that I am." Then they said, "Why do we need any more testimony? We have heard it from his own lips." Then the whole assembly rose and led him off to Pilate. And they began to accuse him, saying, "We have found this man subverting our nation. He opposes payment of taxes to Caesar and claims to be Messiah, a king." So Pilate asked Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "You have said so," Jesus replied. Then Pilate announced to the chief priests and the crowd, "I find no basis for a charge against this man." But they insisted, "He stirs up the people all over Judea by his teaching. He started in Galilee and has come all the way here." On hearing this, Pilate asked if the man was a Galilean. When he learned that Jesus was under Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who was also in Jerusalem at that time. When Herod saw Jesus, he was greatly pleased, because for a long time he had been wanting to see him. From what he had heard about him, he hoped to see him perform a sign of some sort. He plied him with many questions, but Jesus gave him no answer. The chief priests and the teachers of the law were standing there, vehemently accusing him. Then Herod and his soldiers ridiculed and mocked him. Dressing him in an elegant robe, they sent him back to Pilate. That day Herod and Pilate became friends. Before this, they had been enemies. Pilate called together the chief priests, the rulers, and the people, and said to them, "You brought me this man as one who was inciting the people to rebellion. I have examined him in your presence and have found no basis for your charges against him. Neither has Herod, for he sent him back to us. As you can see, he has done nothing to deserve death. Therefore, I will punish him and then release him." But the whole crowd shouted, "Away with this man! Release Barabbas to us!" And Barabbas had been thrown into prison for an insurrection in the city and for murder. Wanting to release Jesus, Pilate appealed to them again, but they kept shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" For the third time he spoke to them. "Why? What crime has this man committed? I have found in him no grounds for the death penalty. Therefore I will have him punished and then release him." But with loud shouts they insistently demanded that he be crucified, and their shouts prevailed. So Pilate decided to grant their demand. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, the one they asked for, and surrendered Jesus to their will.
Your name is cursed, and my name is praised. But it wasn't always this way. The world was waiting for you, the prophesied one, the one Micah predicted in Bethlehem come. King David named you Lord 1,000 years before this day, which is why I find it odd that your name is cursed and my name is praised. You're the image bearer of Isaac, following his father. You're the one Isaiah saw as a lamb led to the slaughter. The psalmist called you a stone rejected by the builders, and Jeremiah knew you'd be betrayed for 30 coins of silver. So how did you not know that this would be the end? Did you not know your betrayer would be a friend? It's always a surprise who will backstab us. I should know, because your name is Jesus, and my name is Barabbas. Yes, I'd heard about you. You're that teacher the Pharisees despise. You tell the blind to go in peace right after you open their eyes. You command demons to come out. You heal the crippled and the deaf. The lepers shout your name. You told Lazarus to wake from death. But if you're so powerful, then why are you on that tree? Why am I the criminal on this hillside standing free? Why didn't you speak up? Where was all of heaven's descent? We all know my name was guilty and your name innocent. Those should have been my chains. That should have been my robe. Now your name is crucify and my name is let him go. That was my flogging, my beating, my skin. But now your name is death row and my name is forgiven. That was my spit, my ridicule, my gasp, my worry. That was my Via Dolorosa and my burden that you carried. Those were my thorns. That was meant to be my crown. It should have been my blood that was dripping on the brow. Those were my nails, my wrists in wretched perforation. Those were my desperate lungs resisting suffocation. That was my punishment, my wrath, my justice on display. Do you see? My name is debt and your name is paid. Who are you, Jesus? To sacrifice for liars, for cheaters, for the rotten, for thieves, for a good man one might die. But then, why would you die for me? Do you not see my anger, my wickedness and malice? I know your name is Jesus, but do you know my name's Barabbas? Are you a friend of sinners? Why invite me to your table? Do you know I was a murderer? I am Cain, you are Abel. Are you the Father run to meet me? Because I am prodigal, unworthy, my name is undeserving, but your name must be mercy. I am Gomer, unfaithful, but you still call me bride. I am one who ran away. Your name is Leave the 99. My name is fatherless, abandoned. Your name is Welcome Home. In a world of dreadful kings, you're the king who left his throne. Do you not see? This is a scandal. How reckless could you be? That was my mocking you endured. That was my place on Calvary. That was my spear that stuck into your side. That was my sorrow, my grief, my suffering in your eyes. Years of my rebellion, years of condemnation. Who are you to hang there bearing my humiliation? That was my sin, my shame, my pain, and my cost. You took what I deserved. Jesus, that was my cross. And even if I doubted, never followed you, you humbled yourself into death, followed through, taking up my cross, brutal and rugged, because your name is love, and my name is beloved.
As the soldiers led him away, they seized Simon from Cyrene, who was on his way in from the country, and put the cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus.
Brother Simon of Cyrene, you know not what you mean. You know not what you mean. Chosen from the ranks unknown, enlisted in an army, the only one worth fighting for. The only one worth fighting for. Lost, I'm sure, but what you hold was made to save the world. No broken tree so beautiful. Water, blood, the stains to come, but your sweat joins in the mix like no others ever did. Like no others ever did. Like no others ever did. Like no others ever did.
A large number of people followed him, including women who mourned and wailed for him. Jesus turned and said to them, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me. Weep for yourselves and for your children. For the time will come when you will say, 'Blessed are the childless women, the wombs that never bore and the breasts that never nursed.' Then they will say to the mountains, 'Fall on us,' and to the hills, 'Cover us.' For if people do these things when the tree is green, what will happen when it is dry?" 2 other men, both criminals, were also led out with him to be executed. When they came to the place called the Skull, they crucified him there along with the criminals, one on his right, the other on his left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. The people stood watching, and the rulers even sneered at him. They said, "He saved others, let him save himself if he's God's Messiah, the chosen one." The soldiers also came up and mocked him. They offered him wine vinegar and said, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." There was a written notice above him which read, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals who hung there hurled insults at him. "Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other criminal rebuked him. "Don't you fear God," he said, "since you are under the same sentence? We are punished justly, for we are getting what our deeds deserve, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus answered him, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." It was now about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon, for the sun stopped shining. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Jesus called out with a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." When he had said this, he breathed his last. The centurion, seeing what had happened, praised God and said, "Surely this was a righteous man." When all the people who had gathered to witness this sight saw what took place, they beat their breasts and went away. But all those who knew him, including the women who had followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance watching these things.
Yeah. The size of sin is as small as a grain of sand, but separates between wide ocean and dry land. It's bigger than bad habits. It's a matter of man seeking for God's spot, following in the same pattern as Adam. It's deep-rooted. We're the seed of a broken family tree, branching out limbs of disease. Look at this mess we leave. This weight of wickedness is heavy as lead, trying to catch its descents like stopping a falling rock in a spider's web. Its thin silk thread begins to snap, and all that's left is the residue that sticks between the cracks. It all ends with a slip into a bottomless pit, grips the heart in a man's chest till swallowing death, sipping from the glass of God's wrath and genuine justice. A just judge must summons for infinite punishment, and when applying, we're undeniably liable. The smallest white lie is enough to be indictable. The size of sin so big it causes a cosmic fraction, and hell is the only relevant response to righteous reaction. This is what our sinful actions actually earned us, but God took upon himself the weight of sin reserved for us, a weight so significant that only the blood of an innocent one is acceptable and worthy. So rather than make light of it or minimize the size of it, we should marvel at the magnitude of mercy.
Poured out like a flood to drown my shame. Beautiful the veins that poured out like a flood to drown my shame. Oh, 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 oh,
There was a man named Joseph, a member of the council, a good and upright man, who had not consented to their decision and action. He came from the Judean town of Arimathea, and he himself was waiting for the kingdom of God. Going to Pilate, he asked for Jesus' body. Then he took it down, wrapped it in linen cloth, and placed it in a tomb cut in the rock, one in which no one had yet been laid. It was Preparation Day, and the Sabbath was about to begin. The women who had come with Jesus from Galilee followed Joseph and saw the tomb and how his body was laid in it. Then they went home and prepared spices and perfumes, but they rested on the Sabbath in obedience to the commandment.
There is coming a day when the bridegroom is taken away, and in that day they will mourn. In that day they will fast. There is coming a day when the bridegroom is taken away, and in that day they will mourn. In that day they will fast. And they will say that things as they are not okay. When someone is missing, someone is absent. Yeah, they will say things as they are not okay. When someone is missing, someone is absent. There is coming a day when the bridegroom is taken away, and in that day they will mourn. In that day they will fast. There is coming a day when the bridegroom is taken away, and in that day they will mourn. In that day they will fast. And they will say that things as they are not okay. When someone is missing, someone is absent. Yeah, they will say things as they are not okay. When someone is missing, someone is absent. Things are not okay right now. Things are not okay right now. Oh, things are not okay right now. Things are not okay right now. And they won't be till you come back. No, they won't be till you come back. No, they won't be till you come back. No, they won't be till you come back. Go on, brothers, lay him down. Go on, brothers, lay him down. Go wrap his body with a clean white shroud. Go roll that stone, leave him in the ground. So go on, brothers, lay him down. Go on, sisters, and cry for him. Go on, sisters, and cry for him. But wipe your eyes and dry your skin. The crying will be done in 3 mornings. So go on, sisters, and cry for him. A momentary sleep. I feel you rising up from the deep. Oh, glory, glory, you will come for me.
And this is where we pause the story. With Jesus no longer with us, with the ache and longing for him to rise and reclaim all that's been lost, with the hope that shines in the darkness of a day coming when the stone will be rolled away, when the tomb will be empty, when death will no longer menace, even this dark day.